person. I will not lie to you, I promise.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well, pardon the delay. Welcome to the, I believe, 16th installment of the AVC show. I'm your host, none other than Angry Vegan Cyclist. Uh, I don't know what happened to last week's show. For some reason, YouTube didn't finalize the processing and it didn't get to MGTOW TV. So, yeah, I guess I'll have to work on that after the show, but yeah, really not a lot going on in the news, at least in my from my view of from from my I guess what nothing's really sticking out to me personally. Again, if you see anything, I know as always the show is not as always. Just in the recent few weeks, I haven't been as involved as I used to be. Mainly because again, there's just not really much going on. We're just kind of waiting for something to go crazy, I guess. We'll see. Maybe I'll jinx myself. But so to compensate for the lack of really spectacular things happening in the world, I just lined up a bunch of articles and I guess I'll try to breeze through them to keep the show moving along. If anything sticks out to you, well, you're more than welcome to talk to me about it. And we will focus more on that. Still no sponsors. Show shrinking. I understand. I don't know. I found other ways to express my contentions as well as fascination with the world, to say the least. And yeah, schedules are getting pretty tight, but here I am. I think I still owe it to you guys to have a show every week, or at least put in some effort. And I also have something to gain out of it too, to sit down and just look at the news and know exactly what's happening in the world so we can respond appropriately. So, anyway, I guess we'll just get started on the most prevalent topic this week, being good old Tuck is removed from Fox News. After how many years now? And then all of a sudden he leaves? Well, I guess we'll find out from the Los Angeles Times, titled Tucker Carlson Departs Fox News, Pushed Out by Rupert Murdoch. I don't know. I guess to preface this, I think it's about it's about the January 6th. I don't know if I remember correctly. I remember hearing that it might have been also about the him questioning the outcome of the 2020 election, which I kind of do as well, but 50% of me says, okay, yeah, the Democrats won through voter fraud. But then the counter argument is, okay, well, every election has some degree of fraud. Yeah, that's true. So then the other 50% of my hypothesis is that American people are just truly pathetic enough to vote for Joe Biden because they believe all of the nonsense that the press talks about Trump. And Trump's no angel either. But a lot of the stuff he does is there's a disproportionate amount of attention focused on opponent. And then there's a disproportionately large number of morons who believe everything the news says and just kind of go along with the narrative for, again, considering the law of convergent behavior, for all kinds of reasons, I imagine, but chiefly either out of fear and conformity rather than looking at things objectively, not valuing truth. I know, pardon my Ben Shapiro coming out, but of course, the liberals don't care about facts and logic, in case you don't know already, in case you haven't been following to the usual content coming out of my show. It's just, I mean, it's just water under the bridge at this point. But from the looks of things, I think at least some part of the normie dipshits, known as the American people, are kind of tired of what the Democrats are doing. But no, don't cut off the free money from the government. Of course not. So that will always be there. I think that's just, I've just come to accept it at this point. I mean, what is the West without welfare? What is the West without codependency between the people and the government? It's just, how is it? How would it be Western anymore? That's just beyond me. Anyway, so written by Steve Battaglio, who is a staff writer for the LA Times on April 21st, 24th, 2023 at 8:20 p.m. Oh man, I didn't sleep well. I'm stuttering, fumbling over my words. Anyway, so the article starts. Let me get a sip of water. Tucker Carlson, the provocative, conservative primetime host who sustained Fox News as a ratings juggernaut, has been forced out of the network. Fox News announced the stunning departure of is top-rated host Monday, with no explanation, but people familiar with the situation were not authorized to comment publicly. They said the decision to fire Carlson came straight from Fox Corporation. Chairman Rupert Murdoch will input from more board members and other Fox Corporation executives. According to one person familiar with the discussions, Murdoch's son Lachlan, executive chairman of Fox Corporation, and Suzanne Scott, chief executive of Fox News Media, decided late Friday that Carlson had to go. Carlson's last show was Friday. Quote, Fox News Media and Tucker Carlson have agreed to part ways, the network said in a statement. We thank him for his service to the network as a host and prior to that as a contributor. A Fox News representative had no other details on Carlson's exit and declined to comment. Rupert Murdoch elevated Carlson from contributor to daily host in 2016. Carlson moved into primetime in 2017 after the ouster of Bill O'Reilly, the successful longtime host, who left amid sexual harassment allegations. Side note, by the way, is it just me or I just don't hear any more Me Too bullshit? Like, I haven't heard about that just stopped in 2018, 2019, and just kind of fizzled out by 2020. We all just forgot about it. I don't know. Do you guys notice that, or is it just me? Is it? Oh man, I don't know. Anyway, Carlson's exit is related to the discrimination lawsuit filed by Abby Grossberg, a producer fired by the network last month, the sources said. Carlson's senior executive producer, Justin Wells, has also been terminated, according to insiders. Grossberg was moved off, quote, Sunday morning futures with Maria Batiromo, and onto Tucker Carlson Tonight, where she alleged she was bullied and subjected to anti-Semitic comments, according to a lawsuit in New York. What the oh my God. In deposition testimony, the former Fox News producer also said she was coerced by the company lawyers to give misleading answers in the Dominion voting system's defamation case against the network. Fox News denied the claim and said she was terminated for disclosing privileged company information. In a statement, attorneys for Grossberg suggested her suit was a key factor in Carlson's exit. Tucker Carlson's departure from Fox News is, in part, an admission of the systematic lying, bullying, and conspiracy mongering claimed by our client, former top producer Abby Grossberg, said Tanvir Raman, one of Grossberg's attorneys. Mr. Carlson and his subordinates remain individual defendants in the Southern District of New York case, and we look forward to taking their depositions under oath in the very near term. Fox News said in a statement will defend itself against what it is called Grossberg's legal claims, which the company called, quote, riddled with false allegations. Murdoch was also said to be concerned about Carlson's coverage of the January 6, 2021 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. The host promoted the conspiracy theory that it was provoked by government agents, which it is. And Carlson has called Ray Epps, an Arizona man who participated in the storming of the Capitol but did not enter the building, an FBI plant without presenting any evidence. It probably is. Epps was interviewed Sunday on, quote, 60 Minutes and said he has been subjected to death threats as a result of Carlson's statements about him. The FBI told, quote, the FBI told 60 Minutes that Epps had never worked for the agency. House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, a Republican of Bakersfield, sparked a backlash among Democrats and others when he granted Carlson exclusive access to thousands of hours of surveillance footage from the January 6 attack. Carlson's ouster was not part of the $787.5 million statement Fox News agreed to pay to Dominion last week, according to a representative for Dominion. Dominion accused Fox of knowingly making false claims about the 2020 election. However, some of the comments that Carlson made about Fox News management and communications that turned up in the discovery process for the case may have played a role in his downfall. Quote, we devote our lives to building an audience, and they say they let Chris Wallace and Leyland F. Vittert wreck it. Carlson texted Leyland, I guess effing Vittert wreck it. Carlson texted in a group conversation with fellow hosts Laura Ingraham and Sean Hannity after the 2020 election. Vittert was a Fox News reporter who was frequently criticized by Trump and now works at News Nation. Wallace moderated the first 2020 presidential debate, which was a disaster for Trump. Carlson also sent texts critical of Fox News correspondents who fact-checked the election fraud claims on his network, even though he didn't believe them himself. Carlson was by far the most popular host on Fox News, averaging more than 3 million viewers a night. But he also brought controversy to the network on a regular basis with his right-wing views on immigration and race, which alienated advertisers. He was strident on illegal immigration across the southern border, once saying undocumented people were making the nation, quote, poorer and dirtier and more divided. He was particularly critical of the Black Lives Matter movement after the police killing of George Floyd in 2020. He sowed doubt about the circumstances of Floyd's death and said that Derek Chauvin, the Minneapolis police officer convicted of taking his life, was subject to, quote, lynching by the media. Starting Monday, Carlson's 8 p.m. Eastern Time slot would be filled by rotating Fox News personalities until a new host is named, the company said. Carlson's departure will test the Fox News formula that has enabled the most watched cable network to sustain its popularity even when it loses its big-name talent. Fox News has remained a dominant leader ahead of CNN and MSNBC by a wide margin, despite personnel changes over the years. Interesting. O'Reilly had the highest ratings of any Fox News personality when he exited. Carlson never reached the same ratings heights after he replaced the star, but remained appointment viewing. The Five, a roundtable program that airs at 5 p.m. Eastern, now has the largest audience in cable news, according to Nielsen data. Carlson, who did not respond to a request for comment, has now been fired by all 3 cable news networks and having been pushed out from his previous stints at CNN and MSNBC. Carlson's dismissal comes after one of the most successful career reinventions in TV history. He was first emerged in the cable as a bow-tied libertarian thinker, John Stossel, skilled at turning a phrase. Throughout his early career, he was liked by colleagues and known for taking direction according to people who worked with him at the time. But he was booted from CNN, where he was the co-host for the debate show Crossfire, and then MSNBC, which gave him a primetime show before it took a sharp turn to progressive political talk. Comedian Jon Stewart ridiculed Carlson to his face on CNN, telling him that Crossfire was hurting America. Carlson's okay, blah blah blah, bruised by the experiences. La 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 la. Okay. Yeah, I guess my attention span ran out. Okay, here's the end of the article. There's really nothing there. Okay, hold on. This is interesting. So, in another text just days before the January 6th riot, Carlson said of Trump, quote, I hate him passionately. We are all pretending we've got a lot to show for it because admitting what a disaster it has been is too tough to digest. But come on, there really isn't an upside to Trump. So, I'm not sure. Okay, so obviously LA Times, you can kind of expect where they're coming from politically. Clearly not the same side as Fox News, but at the same time, look at how quickly all of the mostly women that were discharged out of Fox News, how quick they are to jump using the same accusations that everyone else in the leftist cancel culture are trying to use against each other. Accusations of racism, accusations of sexual misconduct, whatever the fuck that's supposed to mean. It's everyone's got skeletons in their closet, obviously. And I guess no one's going to go after the subordinates who left Fox because I guess they knew they wouldn't win that case because Jewish women, I guess, now they're a fucking protected class because apparently they have privileges. They deserve privileges that other people don't get because equality before the law. Let's not forget that. So, clearly Fox is just controlled opposition. They're not. All they do is just for the most part, just complain. And unlike some shows that are not part of a multi-million-dollar television company, they probably give more practical solutions to your problems. I try to be one of them as a very, very, very small-scale newscaster of sorts. And what, like, I don't... If I were Tucker Carlson, I would have just broken off and went to like the Kim Iverson show or some other fucking small show like years ago. Like, clearly the company vision is lost. Clearly Tucker Carlson must have changed his tone as well. And now, so okay, all right, no. I think sorry, I just read this and I already forgot it. So Dominion, which I guess is like a voting machine company. So regardless, the government's trying to come after Tuck and Fox for blowing the lid on what's most likely that, like, quote, there's no evidence to say that the January 6th was just a government like AstroTurf operation or like a sting op. Sure, yeah, there's no evidence if the government hides it. Is that an unfalsifiable argument? Yeah, kind of, but it's also an unfalsifiable argument that the government is always innocent. So under no circumstances can you prove either argument. Both are coming with an unfalsifiable hypothesis, and that's because we can't really know because what incentive is there for there to be evidence? So, what did we really learn from this? I'm not sure. I'm not really learning too much. I know it's a big topic recently, and it's just, again, it's just Fox taking the mask off and showing what they really are. There are a bunch of people who like to complain. Complaining is what journalists do, for the most part. Duh. But they act like they are a voice for the people who... They are the voice for the political right in the United States. But what are they really doing to quote-unquote resist leftism around us? And if anything, I would personally redefine Fox News as the left wing. Because there's a perception that, okay, well, the Biden presidency was a leftist political organization. And then the right is the rebellion, but that doesn't really make sense because those who stood loyal to the regime stood on the right side of the king, and those who wanted to depart or rebel stood to the left. So I guess that goes back to the question, okay, who's really in power? Well, I would say that's more about the government, the administration's policy choices. And the policy choices can be either quote-unquote left or quote-unquote right, depending on if you're going by like either the trichotomy model or the four quadrants political systems spectrum. So it's just, so obviously Fox News, just like any business, they go by rule number 1, cover your ass. So they could follow rule number 2, so everyone can just come to work, get paid, and go home. Right? So if the government is going to prosecute anyone who says anything that hurts their bottom line, because they too want to cover their asses and just show up to work, get paid, and go home. So, yes, the government has the ability to abuse this to basically cover their fuck-ups. But Fox can do the same thing for their own fuck-ups. So, really, I really don't see any reason to be shocked by this. And I guess Carlson's going to start his own YouTube show. He already has the fan base waiting to see him again, hear him talk, even if it's on YouTube. We'll see. Hopefully he's not a fucking boomer who's too afraid of using technology or seeing that as too below him to be just some YouTube talking head. But again, he's got the fan base. He could probably make money off of it too. But of course, when you commercialize your message, whether as an artist or as a journalist, the more fingers are in your pot, and the more they can stir and add erroneous ingredients into your mix. So, just a classic case of conflict of interests. And, so the world turns. I don't know. I really still think that this decentralization is really good because you start to see the flaws of a centralization of interests, conflicted interests, money, and yeah, the only downside is that the infrastructure kind of sucks whenever you have to build everything from the ground up by yourself or with a smaller platform. And once these platforms get big, which of course with every business model, I guess the rule number 3 is to consider growth. As they start to grow, then they get more and more regulated. For example, like Discord. So Discord just started out as some place for like gamers to get together and talk shit, right? And then came, and then they start, in order to keep growing, because Discord just wants more money. They introduce like the Nitro program, which is like the premium service program. What else? They're probably data brokering, and they're probably taking some ESG money by gratuitously censoring and banning people for bullshit. So in order to escape this, there's a very small minority of people who have been enlightened to the grace of gilded.gg. And my observations, it's about a 5-year pattern. So I would say, how long has Discord been around? I've used Discord for a few years. So yeah, obviously, and many of you are probably old enough to remember Facebook Messenger. I mean, people are still using it, but it wasn't the primary place to be because it's easy to get doxxed. You have to, I guess you could use an anonymous profile, but usually it's associated with like your real life identity. So in order for people to talk shit as they desire to, regardless of their political affiliations, they have to go to Discord. And Discord doesn't really need any personal information other than an email address, which of course is completely inaccessible to people unless you tell them your address. And now people can talk shit in a chat room, whether voice or text, and DM each other and socialize anonymously. So that's why Discord is starting to catch on. It went from a nerd thing to kind of like a mainstream thing where fucking everybody's on. And now their policies are getting strict, so then Gilded is going to be next, and I think I'm calling it 5 years. I'm going to bet 5 years from now Gilded is going to take the same path as Discord, and then we'll just move on to the next platform. But anyway, I don't know what the hell that had to do with Fox News. Yeah. So Fox News is just a hop, skip, and a step away from just becoming another quote-unquote liberal news media website, and they better either change their tone or change their business model. If they keep getting rid of like their top their top reporters, what the fuck is Fox News about anymore? It's just going to become like the new HBO or whatever, or like a streaming platform where they just, and then even then like everything's going to streaming, so then I guess they'll just be the next like fucking Hulu or Netflix. Like, who gives a shit? I'm sure they got their fingers in many pots, but it's probably going to be a hit, and clearly the stock market has says so as well. So the world turns. I won't cry too much about it. Anyway, so yeah, that's probably the most interesting thing. What other asinine bullshit do we have today? Fox News reaches. Okay, I guess maybe this is just for me. Let me catch up on this. As you can tell, I'm not really completely filled in on the topic. So April 18th, Fox News reaches $787 million settlement in Dominion defamation suit. So Wilmington, Delaware, the Fox News avoided one of the highest profile defamation trials in history by reaching $787.5 million settlement with Dominion Voting Systems, the company that accused the conservative channel of smearing its reputation in the weeks after the 2020 election. The extraordinary settlement, one of the largest financial settlements in a defamation case, came on the same day the trial began in Delaware Superior Court. The jury could have determined whether Fox News acted with malice by deliberately airing false statements about the voting machine maker. Dominion was seeking a $1.6 billion in damages. In addition to monetary damages, the network in a statement also conceded that it had aired falsehoods about the Denver-based company. Quote, "We acknowledge the court's findings. The court's rulings finding certain claims about Dominion to be false," Fox News said in the statement. However, Fox News won't have to apologize for spreading false claims, nor will its anchors be required to read any contrite statements or retractions on the air. According to a person familiar with the agreement who was not authorized to comment. Shut the fuck up. Justin Nelson, an attorney for Dominion, said in remarks outside the courthouse that the staggering monetary settlement, quote, represents a vindication and accountability, lies of consequences. Nelson added, quote, "The truth is not no red or blue. People across the political spectrum can and should disagree on issues even of the most profound importance. But for our democracy to endure another 250 years and hopefully much longer, we must share a commitment to facts." Yes, government-approved facts, I'm sure. The agreement was announced after a 12-person jury and 12 alternates were chosen in the court's morning session. After a 90-minute lunch break that had stretched into 3 hours, Delaware Superior Court Judge Eric Davis returned to the bench to say, quote, "The parties have resolved the case." Many legal analysts were surprised that the closely watched case had not been settled before trial, given the potential legal and reputational damage to Fox News. The resolution means Fox News avoids a media spectacle at the Leonard Williams Justice Center in Wilmington, Delaware. More than 50 working journalists have been gathered for the TV. Oh, fuck off. More than 50 working journalists have been gathered for the trial with TV outlets stationed under tents outside the courthouse. The conservative network's biggest stars, including Sean Hannity, Tucker Carlson, and Maria Bartiromo. God, I can't fucking pronounce it. And top executives such as the 92-year-old Fox corporate chairman Rupert Murdoch and his son Lachlan had been expected to be called to the witness stand. Fox News entered the court proceeding at a disadvantage. Davis ruled on March 31st that on-air statements about Dominion made by network hosts and their guests were false. Davis also shut down the Fox's assertion that its reporting on false allegations was justified because they were made by former President Trump and were therefore newsworthy. Quote, "Just because someone's newsworthy doesn't mean you can defame someone," Davis said in an April 11th pretrial hearing. Court filings in the case provided a glimpse into the inner workings of Fox News, with emails and texts showing how executives and hosts tried to balance their own disbelief in Trump's allegations with the perceived need to mollify his supporters who habitually watch the network. Depositions depicted a highly decentralized operation when management often did little to control what its on-air talent said. Talent. What a funny way to describe your hosts. Dominion accused Fox News of amplifying false charges made by Trump's attorneys, and Sidney Powell and Rudolph W. Giuliani that the company's machines manipulated votes to help elect Joe Biden president. There was no evidence of widespread voter fraud or any wrongful actions by Dominion. Like, shut the fuck up. There's too many political winds blowing for me to believe that statement. Claims to the contrary were fact-checked by some Fox News journalists in the network's own research department known as the Brain Room. Dominion said Fox News acted out of fear that the MAGA faithful would tune out and move to upstart the conservative network Newsmax, which was gaining viewership at the time. While media coverage of Dominion's case was voluminous and largely negative for Fox News, it did little to damage the network's standing with its audience and remains the most watched cable news network, well ahead of CNN and MSNBC, according to Nielsen data. However, the network's standing in journalism circles had been diminished by this scandal. The media industry will be continuing to watch if Murdoch makes any significant changes to Fox News management or its lineup of on-air talent in reaction to public humiliation his company has experienced. Such moves could take a while, as Fox News management is averse to the public perception that Murdoch is responding to outside pressure. Fox News is also facing a $2.7 billion defamation lawsuit by Smartmatic, the voting software company that Trump's lawyers falsely accused of manipulating. Okay, so now a second company is trying to sue the shit out of Fox. Why do they need to? So and the answer to my own question there, I suspect, I assert, that it's because there's more political actors coming from the Biden administration or the Democrat Party or the quote unquote left, if you must, that are pressuring these companies. Because, well, okay, let me take that back. So, obviously, Smartmatic and Dominion, these two companies are unhappy that Fox News is bad-mouthing them, calling them biased. So, why not just... Well, I don't know. I guess I don't know the intricacies of who exactly sets up the voting systems and chooses the company in which the voting machines are built. But, yeah, I mean, there's the free market. We can just try a different company. But then again, I think that then I would expect other companies, whatever new company other than Smartmatic and Dominion, to do the exact same fucking thing. So if you're trying to change the input but you're getting the same result, well, clearly other factors are at play. What might that be? I mean, if every company after company keeps producing these biased machines, I mean, and then there's quote unquote no evidence, but this party just seems to consistently win every time. Well, I guess that's inconclusive at best and highly suspicious at worst. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who really votes anymore. Clearly, like, votes don't really mean anything. The people who are typically in Western countries, the people who are not responsible for the future of the country, are usually the ones voting. It's government by the people for the people. Is there a better system around? I still kind of go by like the landed gentry system because of course, the landed gentry understand that hurting the bottom line of their labor, what is propping up their businesses, hurts them in the end. So to some degree, they're kind of accountable for everyone. But then the next stage of corruption will be bribing the landed gentry with force or with, I don't know, good oral sex. Or snack cakes, hostess snack cakes, if you will. There's it. I mean, it's all corrupt. It always has been, always will be, and we're really the fools to expect otherwise. And really, it's corrupt in the sense that there is no non-corruption. So regardless of whatever beliefs are claimed by the current administration, I believe that individual self-interest will always take priority. That's just a very basic law of human behavior. So why does this all matter? I don't know. Fox News also, Abby Grossberg, who claims she was coerced to give misleading answers to deposition testimony. Gender discrimination laws from a fired producer. What the fuck? What? How is this a gender issue? Like, being coerced is it's just a byproduct of being an underling. Not being a fucking woman. What the hell is this shit? God, I hope these lawsuits fall flat. Like, I don't have a ton of respect for Fox News, but these charges are just fucking bullshit. I guess it's just a good analogy for like what's going on with America as a whole. It's just everyone sees us dying. Everyone sees the ship is sinking, so we might as well just like loot the shit out of it as much as possible before it's too deep in the water. Is that what they're going to do? Yeah, I don't think Fox News really has too much of a. They're not bringing much to the table if they start their own like streaming company, and that's where the majority of eyeballs on TV go to. It's for streaming. For movies, and people get their news from YouTube. Like, I don't know. I need to admit I don't know. So the company made $20 million in 2017 to former anchor Gretchen Carlson, whose sexual harassment lawsuit against founding Fox News chief Roger Ailes was among the most high profile in the hashtag Me Too movement. Thank God that shit is over. I probably just jinxed everyone here, but finally, the bullshit is over. So fucking stupid. So full of shit. God. Oh, man. Fox has sufficient reserves to pay the Dominion settlement with $4 billion in cash. So I guess Fox is just going to keep settling because then they know that no one else is going to stick up for them. No one else is going to take the quote-unquote anti-status quo, anti-current regime narrative of quote, the election was stolen. Again, I'm split. Like, the American people are kind of fucking pathetic. They probably would genuinely want Joe Biden. And it's government by the people for the people, and no surprise that the Western culture, not just America, Western cultures are all developing a infantile relationship with their governments. Daddy government, so to speak. It's just such a waste of time to just try to convince people because money talks. I can't convince people not to take fucking free money. Like, Anyway. Hold on, let me see what the fuck this message is. I got so many of these fucking... Ugh. Who's buzzing around in my DMs? Huh. Oh well. Anyway, so, yeah, that was lame. That was all fake and gay. I'm probably not the most qualified person to talk about it. I'm not a legal expert. I don't really know too much about Fox News, other than just the very obvious. So I guess I'll just shut up about it. We'll just talk about something else that may be more interesting. So, last Tuesday, there is this article called "I'm a Zillennial who built a 5-bedroom house with my parents, and I don't know why more 30-year-olds aren't doing it." So this is getting ratioed pretty bad, almost 2-to-1 dislike to like ratio. But I thought it was just kind of, it was an interesting response. So I don't know where you live. I live in a place where housing is kind of tight. And there's a lot of where I'm at. There's a lot of grown adults who have roommates because of the housing market, and I think we're going to see a bit of a cultural shift. So, especially in the United States, but Western cultures in general, and less so for, let's say, Eastern cultures, what the Middle East or East Asia. From my observations, there is a lot of pressure for younger people to move out of their parents' homes. I moved out a bit late, and I don't really regret it. I'm what's a good way to how could I phrase this properly? So, on a broader scale, if you are asking me, I won't necessarily judge you as a young adult for living with your parents, so long as you're developing skills or working to the eventual goal of complete independence. Now, even in the United States, at the point where, especially in the coastal areas, the urban areas, and this has clearly been the case for Europeans for much longer, because of geographical constraints, because of economic situations, there is nowhere to move out anymore. Like, software engineers, as you might have heard all over, software engineers who make 6 figures in California, there's nothing to buy. They have the money, but there's no houses to buy. And they probably either have to pay out the ass or don't want to move in with adult roommates in a crowded apartment. So, where else can you go? Well, I guess that's why van life is a thing now. And I can see the appeal to it. I mean, you have complete ownership. The vehicle slash building is mobile. I guess the only headaches are heating for cold areas, which means that you just have to pay. I guess you have to run a diesel generator of sorts. And what else? Showers, bathrooms, depending on the size of the vehicle, that could or could not be accommodated. As a cyclist, I imagine it would be a pain in the ass that to have to go outside to work on your bike all the time. There's no garage, so if you're into cars, well, duh. And I, I am considering personally to put together a shop where I can dick around with whatever inside the shop and just kind of live in a van. That's one of the ideas I got from various people. And maybe that's the new way that people will adapt to the market of no housing. I don't know. As I always say, you always have options. Always, almost always, except for the most extreme, absurd circumstances in life. You always have options. You're just not. You either don't know what they are, or you're not willing to consider them. So, yeah, if you're a young adult and you're still living with your parents, I mean, people are going to judge you no matter what. And so fucking what? If you get along with your parents and they're not shitbags, there's nothing wrong. If you two are really helping each other out to help all of you progress in your lives, that's great. That is precious. To have a family that actually gives a shit about you, that is indeed a privilege. If not, move the fuck out. Even if it means taking a hit in your income, even if it means having to relearn how to do these certain things, even if it means a total loss in meaning you have to let the dishes pile up in your sink or whatever, it's still fucking worth it. If your family sucks. And it's entirely your call on whether to decide that your family sucks or not. If you have good family, cherish that. That is a very, 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 very valuable thing to have as a human being. If not, blood isn't always thicker than water. Don't be afraid to leave your parents behind if they suck. Because they'll tell you blood is thicker than water. Even if, whether or not they are actually beneficial to your life. Or not. So, well, whether they are beneficial to your life or not, period. So, yeah, especially nowadays, like having a community, like your family is your first step, the first option. And the second would be like your family's friends or immediate friends or your distant relatives. But again, just because you guys are related doesn't mean you guys are going to get along. Doesn't mean you guys have a common vision for the future. And yeah, it's just I know this is a very subtle, very minor thing, but I'm sensitive to these details, as you might have noticed. And I think because of that, I'm able to catch on trends a lot quicker than a lot of people are. So, yeah, don't be afraid to get creative in regards to your housing issues. Yeah, a van's probably cheaper than a house, and it's still a big investment. But shit, I mean, there's at least a decent trade-off. So anyway. Oh man, it'd be cool if I had the fucking money to just buy some giant workshop out in the sticks. Maybe. I don't know. But then again, being... we don't have to talk about that. God, I fucking share too much. Anyway, yeah, in the US there's this idea of getting out at 18 or having to pay rent to your parents, and I find it so bizarre that a parent would do that to their child as a Mexican American. Twitter hot take right there. Growing up, I was told to go to school to get a good job, then start helping out the family. As the youngest of 5 children and as a gay man with no kids, it feels like a blessing that we could help each other achieve this big accomplishment. Yeah, if that's really the case, and you're not bullshitting us while you write the article, yeah, I mean, that's touching. That's really precious. Like, just want to pinch your cheek. Oh, you're so adorable. Right? So, yeah. Let's go look briefly at the comments. Oh, this is a good one. So back when I was growing up, before people moved around so much for jobs, this was fairly normal in the U.S. Now parents cannot wait for their teen to move out or pay rent. Families are just not real families anymore. Maybe so because no one wants to grow up and be responsible. Well, this goes for both ways. So I know I hate to give like a chat GPT answer, but this issue is complex and multifaceted. I mean, it kind of is. So let's say if I had a child, male or female, if I see that child has like a lot of great business ideas and has the acumen or the work ethic to actually make one of them happen, and then Mr. or Miss AVC Jr. comes and talks to me, say, "Hey, Dad, I want to live with you guys a little longer, but in the meantime, let's work on something together. Let's work on a home business, or let's work on this big project. When here's why there's going to be a positive ROI, and it's how it's going to improve our standard of living as a family. And if this plan looks pretty solid to me, and isn't a bunch of pie in the sky like fucking like Elon Musk hucksterisms, I would be like, okay, yeah, sure. As long as you are actually putting in the time to work on this and managing your own health as an independent adult. And so when I continue to support you, and in the end you continue to develop yourself like I want to as your parent, that's perfectly fine. I don't see the issue, especially if I actually have the capital to invest into my children. But if that weren't the case, then of course I'd be like, okay, look, I love you, son or daughter, but you really need a kick in the ass. And as your father, I've gotten further than you have at this age, and I would like to hold you to a higher standard to which I hold myself. I want you to accomplish things in your life. I want you to be proud of where you are, but I also want to be jealous of you because I want only the best for you as a father. And if enabling you and keeping you in my house is just going to hold you back, I really don't want to see that. And that's a tough conversation to have with your parents. A tough conversation to have with your children. And that's why some parents don't really let their kids go out because, especially single mothers, middle age, they want something to come home to, someone to come home to, and that's why they keep their adult sons around. But obviously that's not really the case anymore for daughters, in my observation. So, in the meanwhile, I think, this statement here, families are just not real families anymore. And the responsible, no one wants to grow up and be responsible. It could apply to many different ways. So on one hand, like I remember a couple weeks ago, we're talking about how like suburbia is complaining about how their kids are reading like fucking LGBT books or whatever in public school. Well, the biggest question here is that, okay, you spent all your money on a fucking BMW SUV, and you spent your money on this big fucking McMansion, on your white picket fence, and just good old American suburbia. Where the fuck's your money? What the fuck do you mean you can't afford to send your kids to put them to private school? Or homeschool them? Get mom to stay home. Dad goes to work. I know it's very patriarchal and oppressive to female rights, but shut the fuck up about whenever this public school starts to teach things you don't want your kids to see. Well, whose fucking responsibility is to raise your children, huh? Oh, that's right, it's the public school system because I pay these taxes instead of, voting for policies that can reconsolidate the authority of parents to raise their own fucking children. Oh, God forbid. Oh, no, that is not my responsibility. It's just so... So on one hand, yeah, I'm really tired of seeing young people my age, not having any fire on their asses to start running and do something, make something of themselves. But is that really a generational thing? I mean, lazy people are in every fucking generation. On the other, who raised them? Who raised the millennials? It's the Gen X and the Boomers. Who's raising Gen Z? Gen X and millennials. So I don't know. I guess the plot's all scattered. It's really hard to generalize. But yeah, humans who avoid responsibility, which in some cases, yes, you need to, because if you take everyone's responsibility, then you just become a fucking doormat, and you're the one that loses ultimately. But like, parents, raise your own fucking kids. So you eat the whole ass whenever you send them to public school and understand that they're going to be taught a bunch of bullshit, and it's your job to ask your kid again, hey, how was school today? What did they teach you? What did you learn today? Tell me about it. I want to know. Oh, well, why? Why, Dad? Well, because I'm your fucking dad. Do you want me to not give a shit about you? So I don't know. That was just a really shitty hypothetical situation. But anyway, yeah, it's fucking. I guess it just really at the root of it's just human laziness, and it's just sad. But at the same time, what can you really do to solve that? I mean, nothing. So, yeah, people bickering in the comment section. It's good to have this disagreement. May the best argument win, I guess. As if it really is going to change anything. Quote, as a young adult in my 30s, I've watched my take-home pay dwindle while my bills simultaneously increase, and people like self all love to call everyone lazy, etc. How about acknowledge the current horrible economy we're in? And then back up is Mr. Tim Fuscaldo here. Those with money love to call those without lazy. Makes them feel special. So, regardless of how the economy moves, you have options. Like I said earlier, you're either unaware of or unwilling to consider them. So you have to compromise on other things in order to balance your money in, money out. Self-sufficiency, yes, that is mostly all learned. Of course, school doesn't really teach you very extensively about how to do that. And also it's very obviously very highly subjective on what is a good expenditure of your money and what isn't. Your finances will go up and down throughout your life as an adult. And I personally go by the policy of, I think it's like, well, I don't know. I guess a Keynesian versus the Austrian model, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. When poor, learn skills and save money. When wealthy, save time, outsource, and keep growing. So whether you're just someone just trying to survive the nonsense known as the Western economies, or a aspiring businessman or woman, I think this is all a good policy to go by. This is what companies do. Learn from the corporations to benefit yourself. So, like for example, let's say when a typical company will once let's say it's a service it's a service based. I don't know what the fuck is it. The company is selling a service. So when the business is slow, there's not much going on. I know this is a very basic example, but I feel I need to explain it anyway. So when there's not much business, there's not many customers asking for the service. Well, what does the company do? They tell the employees, okay, clean the shop up, clean the office up, organize the documents, get all of the materials and everything in check, prepare for streamline the operations, streamline the accounting process, the materials management if it's a service based with like physical objects. I guess you could say like autophagy, to trim the fat, look through the books, see who is really the lowest performers, who we could really do without, and either give them some retooling, retraining, or get rid of them. Trim the fat, Make it a leaner, meaner machine to make money whenever the business does come in. And when the business is coming in, well, of course, put things that slow down the rate at which you can provide the service in the back burner. So there's ways to optimize, whether in wealthy times or in poor. And of course, where does one get this knowledge? Well, obviously you can't count on the public school system, right? So you learn it yourself. YouTube, the internet, this fucking news article. Work with your parents. Find friends. You always have options. You're either unwilling or unaware of them. So, okay, CM has a really interesting comment here. In reality, there was a time where the majority of 16-year-olds would lament about having to wait until their 18th birthday to move out of their parents' house. One of the defining factors of actually becoming an adult was the ability to take care of yourself and be out on your own, being in complete control of your livelihood. Back then, being a part of a family meant that your parents taught you how to be self-sufficient, a productive adult, and with that knowledge, we didn't dare expect nor ask them to help us live after taking care of us for 18 years. They worked hard to teach us and take care of us, and they deserve to be just able to just focus on each other, not having us underfoot as adults. Supporting other countries has been going on for years. This hasn't just started. Yeah, that could. Oh my god. In response to Tim Fullscald, again, where's the word lazy? And the reason I have any kind of money is the little that I have was worked hard for by myself. Yeah. When was the time it was fairly normal for the adults at the age of 30 to live with their parents? I am 57, and everyone I went to high school and college with, and all my 60-year-old brother's friends, moved out either a few years after high school or after college. I did move back in when I moved back to my hometown and moved out again within a year or two and was living on my own by age 23. Now, when I lived in New Mexico, I had friends who had still lived with family, but once they got married, they too moved out. Yeah, well, and again, there seems to be an awful correlation. More importantly than culture, it seems like the bigger correlation here is about housing availability and housing prices relative to GDP or average income. Asia, Europe, much more crowded than majority of the United States. Yeah, people live with their parents for much longer. 30 isn't too uncommon. I can't pull up any succinct data, but yeah, always consider your options. My shoulders. So, it's only as bad as you make it. There you go. There are no good or bad times, only what we make of them. Amen. Amen, Dana Haskins. Is that a guy named Dana? That's weird. Anyway. Okay, next topic. This 33-year-old went from $60,000 salary to $140,000 in just 5 years. Her best negotiation advice. Okay. Use data. Presented salary numbers and ranges. Okay, so there's no fucking point to look at this. So these are just basic rules of negotiation. It's a fine balance between covering your own ass as well as being willing to work with other people. There's always going to be somewhat of a compromise between the two. But, of course, it's kind of like a parabolic curve. There's that sweet spot where you commit a certain amount of time to helping others, and then they help you in return. And that's what a meaningful business relationship is, right? So you often have to make the initial investment to, for a job, it's sending your resume, presenting yourself respectably in the job interview, getting the job, putting the time to work, and again, sparingly, in my opinion, say, okay, it looks like we're having a rough day today. I'm going to stay late and help everyone out. Where you draw the line is up to you about how much you want to commit to your job and how much you want to balance other factors in your life literally your work-life balance. And yeah. I don't know if anyone cares to see this article. This was kind of a dud. I don't know why they put it here. I'm stupid. All right. Jalopnik. Queensland, Australia, passes strictest, quote, anti-hoon laws in Australia. So, yeah. So, hooning, I guess it means, like, sports cars. Usually young men are known to have fun with their sports cars in the street. Queensland Police Minister Mark Ryan said in a statement, quote, "If you want to tear up the roads, we'll tear up your car. If you want to be a spectator at a hooning event, you will be breaking the law. If you promote a hooning event, it will be an offense. If you behave in an antisocial manner and put the lives of others and yourselves at risk, you will be targeted relentlessly by police. Life is precious. Too many lives are lost on our roads. Hooning will not be tolerated." So this is a very short and very poignant article right here. So I've got mixed feelings. So back when I was a super committed like political shithead regarding my cycling lifestyle, a full-time bike commuter. Yeah, I'm probably going to oh, what the fuck? Oh, that's an interesting one. That's an interesting video. I'm probably going to be like, yeah, go get them, Queensland police. Oh, fuck these street racers. Because, you know, these guys are kind of a nuisance. Not gonna lie. On the other hand, if this gets passed, if like this becomes like a well-established policy where the government will actually just arrest people for just like hanging out and showing off their cars, that's a hop, skip, and a step away from really, really excessive government control. So I kind of have mixed feelings about this. I like riding bikes, and I'm a car guy too. So, so when it comes to, yes, I kind of agree with the police in the sense that, okay, yeah, sure, it can get dangerous. At least for one person, the hooner himself, typically himself. In the UK, these are called boy racers. And in the US, I guess they're just called it's just called reckless driving, I suppose. Street racing, yeah, it's a thrill. But if I had a teenage boy, I'd much rather him play Need for Speed or Forza, which are awesome games, by the way, than and if I were a fucking, I don't know, if I had Elon Musk money, yeah, I might buy him like a project car. I'd get him like a small, simple car, and I tell him, hey, you want a cool car? Go make it. And I loan him some tools and give him a very small allowance on what kind of parts to buy. And from there on, that's kind of up to him. That's what I do. I don't know how this got into parenting. Anyway, back to this. Yeah. So it's in the urban areas, yes. It's really not surprising. Like, especially like in the United States, like, you're not entitled to fucking space anymore, especially in a crowded urban area. Everyone else is making the same argument. Why should let's say I as a hypothetical government, give you more space just because you got your fucking oversized pickup and your fat ass can barely fit in there? Like, no, urban areas are tight. That's why they're urban areas. I suggest you switch to some form of transportation that is smaller, more maneuverable, less noisy, and less polluting. Because if you want to live deep in the urban areas, in the cities, this is what you have to do. If you want more space, go out to the sticks. So, this is why there's a push for bicycling infrastructure in what has been Europe for many decades, but now in the United States. And, of course, how do you say this? Highly space-consuming Americans, whether in waistline or in their vehicular volume, they are unhappy about it. And I really don't empathize with them. You want space? Move out. Move. Mobility is nobility. You're so proud of your car driving lifestyle? Take it out into the country. I'm sure you'll be much happier there. Oh, wait, you want to sit here and just complain and want to change a policy that clearly doesn't fit the geographical constraints of the place that you want to live in? Well, You can try fighting nature, but nature kind of tends to win. So, I don't. I guess this goes back to like the mouse utopia problem. So, the option to leave and the options of mobility are really, really essential to not only human life but animal life. The suffix of animal is anima, which means animation, movement, right? So if you don't move, that's one. It's a hop, skip, and a step away from a slow death. A slow and painful one, really. I mean, literally. Have you ever seen someone bedridden? So, yeah. I personally think that regulation of like car shows is just, it's kind of unnecessary. But street racing, it's illegal for a reason. And it looks like the Queensland police is probably a bit more too proactive regarding that. And I think when it comes to like pedestrian cyclist deaths in the transportation system, that's more not from like street racers. And that's more from like the average person not knowing how to fucking drive a car or not simply respecting the strangers in the street. And of course, the lack of punishment for vehicular manslaughter or on transportation related injury. And if you want to solve those problems, you start there. And you give people in the packed urban areas, encourage them to move out if they have a fucking problem with it. You live in a city, size down, or get the fuck out. Yeah. Like, urban and rural populations, like, they establish a relationship for a reason, and it's very meaningful. And I don't necessarily push for the increase of one over the other. Like, increasing a rural population just turns it urban. That's the difference between rural and urban. I mean, duh, right? So, different lifestyles for people who want different things in life. And the freedom of choice is really, I think, the most important thing here. But yeah. So that was it. Yeah, I guess that was surprisingly interesting. Since when did they use real cars in Twisted Metal? Oh, it's a movie. Huh. Well, go check it out, I guess. Anyway, San Francisco. Okay, yeah, we just this is just a picture. Like, the picture says more than the article. So, even fucking toothpaste and razors are getting locked up. Jesus. Oh, man. Yeah, that's because the politicians are catering to criminals. And then because of how lax the policies are, how poor the enforcement is, because of the voter base being this group of people that shall not be named, it increases the pool of which that people will decide to, quote unquote, take on criminal actions like shoplifting and robbery. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's democracy for you. Let's watch this video real quick. God, this fucking... my brain cells die every time I hear sped up music and... Oh, Jesus. Wow, what the hell is this? I guess, like, so I remember on my server, I don't know if I covered the article, but they were talking about how, like, a REI in Portland, Oregon was... They're planning to... they're moving out of the city. So, yeah. A good old mouse utopia, I guess. Don't be too far in the downtown area. Yeah. Okay, next article. Elon Musk on the housing bubble. Quote, they dug their own graves. Good old daddy Elon dropping some based, like, libertarian pills. I love it. And he's got a loyal fan base of quote unquote far right people who just, I don't know, have a fucking sense about handling what individualism and self ownership and responsibility is. It's crazy, isn't it? Man. Letter tweet 14 billion off the company's value, just 7 words to say his opinions can move markets is an understatement. Yeah. Marcos also blamed the 2008 recession on predatory lending practices during that time that were allowing previously unqualified buyers to purchase homes with little or no money down, and the low initial mortgage payments that ballooned over time. Yeah, well, okay, Musk disagrees that they dug their own graves. Well, like, okay, so banks and lenders, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. Your feedback is valued. If they see that, okay, if we could just lend this money to a certain demographic of people that shall not be named, whether financial, racial, or cultural, that's up to you to assume. And they see, okay, well, this person has shit credit. This person is probably not going to pay any of it back. So we can lend the money, and we can go, and if the payroll checks out, that it would be a profitable operation to just sue these people, and then get money from probably, like, I don't know, who the fuck knows? I guess through repo. The federal bailouts, then the businesses would do that. Like, it just makes sense from a prior, like a self-sustenance priority and checklist from self-sustenance protocol from the businesses, as just like, and for any biology nerds out there, business is an organism and responds to various stimuli in pretty much the same way. And they have their own imperative of eating, growing, and reproducing. So, which means, increasing profits, growing to a larger system, and or producing offspring, spin-offs, collaborations, mergers, dissolutions, etc. So, yeah. The axiomatic quote from Elon Musk himself. The axiomatic error was that housing prices only go up. I do not support predatory lending, but many of those lenders were severely wounded or didn't survive. They dug their own graves, a lesson we should all take to heart, including me. Yeah, I guess somewhat based. Those lenders got government bailouts just like you. Yes. Gotta got him there. I hate to... Oh, man. So... Oh, that's funny. That is funny. Oh, man. So, yes, in case you didn't know, Tesla wouldn't be anything if it weren't for ESG incentives. It's one of the few cases where, like, ESG is actually producing somewhat of a useful product for people, other than, like, fucking Marvel and their woke bullshit. Yeah. I guess that's all I really have to say on the matter. All right, let's hit the next article. So, God. Okay, so this is from Bicycling Magazine. I used to love that magazine. bikes, looking at pictures of bikes in a magazine is kind of a pornographic experience for me. I get a nice chubby out of it, right? Now, they also talk about, as they have the right to, they talk about infrastructure, economy, and politics regarding bicycles, cycling infrastructure, all types of cycling. Not just everything from competitive to like the professional sports range to cultural things. And what I kind of hate is that, okay, at some point, yes, it's going to be a political matter. For example, let's say, okay, we need to, as a bicycling magazine, I think it's, well, at least one branch is based in the United States. The statement, there needs to be more bicycling infrastructure, is inherently a political one. It's a political contention whether or not the government, local and national governments, should spend more money to build bike lanes, bike paths, places for people to ride bikes, velodromes, etc. And at some point, they're going to... What disappoints me, though, is that they're making this a race issue than a bike issue. So when you read bicycling, yeah, you're probably a cyclist. Why the fuck do you need to hear about something that's racially motivated, quote unquote, a race issue? Why would bicycling want to alienate people? And I don't know. I don't know if I am / were black, and what this doesn't do anything for black people who are getting hit by cars on bikes. But also the statement's also kind of ambiguous. Okay, more black cyclists die because of quote-unquote racial divide. Okay, what's killing them? Non-transportational related violence, like gang violence, which is a big killer of young black men, in case you didn't know, in the United States. Or are they getting hit by cars? Why are they getting hit by cars? So when it comes to people who are serious about bike commuting, or they train at night, or going out on rides, they probably have all their lights on. They probably know the laws of the road. They know what they're doing. So why does it happen? Well, that's because of the car driver, usually. But whenever these people are not following traffic regulations, they are not using they're not using any means to make them visible in dark environments, which still honestly is responsibility of the automobile operators to look at the fucking road. God forbid, you need to put down your damn phone. But it's one less aspect of culpability. So back when I commuted in a very bike unfriendly place, for the most part, the lights were just kind of like it was more of a way to cover yourself in court and win the court case if some dipshit hits you with his or her car, rather than the safety feature itself. Because no matter how bright your lights are, like car wrecks, car on car collisions happen with the fucking lights on of the car in front. How the fuck does that happen? Okay, well, that point is just the driver not fucking pay attention. And, fucking shame on you if that's how you drive. And not really the same thing could be said about bicyclists. So, okay, well, and then another common retort I hear from Americans mainly is that, if there's regulations on me about me just distracted driving, then there should be regulations on other people too, on the cyclists. I mean, I see them on their phones all the time. I see them wearing headphones, blah, 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 blah. Sure. And my counter argument to that is, okay, so if a bicyclist is just, he's riding distracted bicycling, and he runs into a wall, all he's hurting is himself. He fucks up his own bike. He might hurt himself. Who's culpable in that failure? Well, him, and that's between him and the insurance company to decide whether or not whose money goes into fixing his bike and his body. Now, if the cyclist is proven to be distracted and causes a collision with a attentive automobile driver or automobile operator, okay, sure, then it gets a bit hairier. So, who's at fault for that crash? Well, you have to establish fault before you can make that decision. So, in the case that, okay, driver is paying attention, driver is making a turn, And then all of a sudden, okay, the cyclist comes out. He's not paying attention. He responds too late, even though the driver stomps on his brakes. And then, obviously, the cyclist is typically more injured in those situations. Then, okay, you can say the cyclist is at fault. But, innocent until proven guilty. So, where's the evidence? Well, the only way to have the evidence is video cameras. And then whenever we establish video cameras, then there's, of course, a subset of people which probably who politically agree with me or don't like excessive government control say that, okay, well, and not just okay, they say, oh, well, the government's not respecting our privacy. Well, when it comes to infrastructure, I mean, it's provided to by the government, so it's the government's shit, it's the government's stuff. Everyone pays taxes to maintain the infrastructure, so it is public. And when it's public, it's not really your stuff. So what's the issue whenever you have cameras in public spaces? I think it's a mutual alibi. You have cameras on, you have body cams on police. Why not do the same thing with public infrastructure? Better cameras, more cameras on the road. So whenever we have legally hairy situations like bicyclists and car drivers running into each other, now we have a solution to that problem. We watch the video, we see who's fucking up, and the one who's fucking up takes the blame and takes responsibility for whatever happens in court. It's just my thoughts. Anyway. So, God, this is so fucking stupid. All right, just because of how fucking clowny this article is, I guess I will read it to you. So, this article starts, why don't more people of color ride bikes? There is no singular reason. However, safety is often cited as the primary concern for all races. In communities of color with a high concentration of low to middle income residents. Low to middle. Why are they grouped together? What the fuck is this? Lack of cycling infrastructure elements such as bike trails, bike lanes, or even shoulders make cycling unsafe and impractical. The lower a metro area's median household income, the more dangerous its streets are likely to be for people walking, according to a Smart Growth America Dangerous by Design 2021 report. This is a quote, this is unsurprising given low-income communities are less likely to have sidewalks, marked crosswalks, and street design to support safer, slower speeds. Without such infrastructure, capital B, Black, and capital H, Hispanic residents face the greatest risks. According to a large Harvard and Boston University study assessing racial disparities in traffic fatalities, for every mile walk, capital B, Black people are twice as likely to be killed by cars compared to white pedestrians. So this is not about gang violence. This is about shitty traffic. Collisions, okay? For every mile ridden, Black cyclists are more than 4.5 times more likely to be killed than white cyclists. At the same time, Hispanic cyclists and pedestrians increase a 1.7 and 1.5 risk of being killed compared to white Americans. Higher death rates among Black and Hispanic cyclists and pedestrians, low income, blah, 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 blah. Historical neighborhood designs, yeah. American infrastructure is dog shit. Europeans really just, they take the W on that one. Government-sponsored homeowners and loan corporation rated neighborhoods a grade of D, and pedestrian fatality was twice as high as neighborhoods with an A grade. So, okay, now, here's what's kind of sketchy. And again, I appreciate the fact that they're telling Americans that their infrastructure sucks and needs to change. Pedestrian fatality. Okay, so using a lot of citations talking about pedestrians, which is a similar demographic, but still not quite. Cyclists are moving a little bit faster, and yeah, American drivers look for pedestrians and tend not to bother them because they move on their own side of the road, being the sidewalk. But of course, sidewalks, for any of you fat fucks who actually, well, for all you fat fucks which probably don't understand what it's like to ride a bike on a sidewalk, if you're fast like me, it is not safe. You'll run into people, they bitch on you to get on the road, and then when you get on the road, they complain on you being, and the car drivers will complain on you being in the road, and they tell you go back to the sidewalk, and clearly these people are just fucking retarded. American infrastructure is retarded, just like the people. Which is why I left. But anyway. Yeah. So, yeah. Shame on you, Bicycling Magazine, for bringing race into this issue. This isn't a race thing. This is just a infrastructure thing. And Utah Senator Mitt Romney dismissed their significance. Quote, removing automobile lanes to put bike lanes is, in my opinion, the height of stupidity. It makes more cars backing up, creating more emissions. Well, if you widen the roads and add more car lanes, do you know what you get? You get about 2 days of cleared traffic, and then you have this thing called, induced demand. When you widen the road, when you widen a highway, you get a bigger traffic jam. Do you see how this works? Meanwhile, how many bikes can you fit into a one standard like US size road lane? Probably almost 4 side to side. So if you want to clear up traffic jams, build bike lanes. Tell the cars to reduce the space available for cars, because cars cause traffic jams. Like only in probably like the Netherlands do you see like bike traffic jams. So I know Mitt Romney, I'm going to assume that he knows this. But obviously he's appealing to like, the suburban. His votes come from suburbia, the American middle class, which disgusts me personally. A lot of American infrastructure problems can indeed be solved by a bigger push towards pedestrian and bicycle traffic, especially in urban areas. And you can't really prove me wrong. I'd like to see you try. Car culture is really one of the many problems of the United States, and I really hate the racial twist on this, because that's just a complete pollution of like the magazine's IP. But at the end of the article, I do appreciate the closing statement. I don't think the U.S. will really ever get to like European levels. I don't think they really deserve it. I guess I can tie this back to whatever I stated in the earlier topics regarding urban versus rural lifestyles in the article about Australia, as well as the, I guess, kind of somewhat tangentially related to like the moving out of your parents' house topic with this fucking stupid article here. Giving people the option to move is really, mobility is nobility. Mobility is part of the animal existence, and humans are animals. I moved from somewhere that did not want me riding a bike. Fuck that place. I don't give a shit what anyone thinks, says, or does there anymore. And I'm much happier where I'm living right now. Moving is really the solution to a lot more problems. And it's a lot more controllable than trying to puppeteer the financing of your local government, especially in the United States. Americans do not want to move to a more efficient transportation system, and they don't deserve it, honestly. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on the matter. Next article. Okay. Connecticut conjoined twins open up. We'll just touch on this quickly for a laugh. Connecticut conjoined twins open up about sex life, the boyfriend they don't share, and the awkward sleepovers. Quote, it's not all rainbows and sunshine. I mean, okay, well-designed headline there. Okay, so the sex life. I mean, so I remember hearing somewhere, women's greatest fantasy, most common women's sexual fantasy, is to be dominated. Men's most common sexual fantasy is a harem, or multiple female partners for one man. So, I mean, if that's what your thing is, I must ask you, is this not what you want? You got 2 honeys for your gentlemanly existence. You get a 2-for-1 deal right here. Would you say no? Is this not what you want? Think about it. Anyway, so they share a reproductive system. So if these 2 twin sisters get pregnant, well, they just have like, They have one uterus. So then now the next question is like, okay, well, whose child is it? Is it Carmen's or is it Lupita's? Like, oh my god. Oh Jesus. Oh man. Okay, let me read this. So Carmen has a boyfriend named Daniel, and while Lupita is asexual but supports her sister's dating, you have to fucking watch your twin sister have sex in front of you when you don't have an option because you two share organs. Fuck it. Oh my. Oh, this is good shit. Okay, for my biology friends here, so biology nerds, the conjoined twins are very conscious about one another's feelings, with one being able to tell when the other is feeling quote anxious or is about to cry. Carmen claims that Lupita is quote way more observant than her. Well, that's not surprising. I mean, like, so even though these two young women have, so I'd imagine their spinal cord looks like so. Lupita and Carmen, they each have their own brains, but the spinal cord must merge here. And if you think about it, so your nerve cells are all like electrically conductive, and they're probably neurotransmitters also go through. Fun fact, by the way, neurotransmitters don't just go through your brain, the cells and nerve cells in your brain, your brain cells. They go through your nerve cells all over your body. So whatever neurochemistry, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, etc., is going through one of the twins, it kind of moves over to the brain, the segment of spinal cord and parts of the brain stem in the other twin sister. Isn't that funny? You can kind of feel some of the emotions of your conjoined twin sibling, but you know you have your own. That's funny. That's a very tight accountability. Your fucking twin is just right there and be like, "What the fuck are you nervous about?" Oh, I'm not nervous. What? You just shut up. And then your twin says, "No, get the fuck out of here. I know you are." That's kind of terrifying, honestly. I don't know. I thought that was interesting too. But yeah, I hope you laughed. I hope you got a laugh out of it too. Oh man! All right, one more retarded article, just to knock a few more IQ points down from everyone here, just to lose a few more IQ points and brain cells. All right. God, this fucking headline. Quote, Bud boycott turns violent as bikini-wearing influencer Brie Teresi guns down beer in protest of woke brands. Man. The things we do to stay in the news. Social media influencer Brie Teresi has recently protested against what she deems a quote woke brands to a new level by shooting up Bud Light beer, Tampax tampons, and Honey Birdette lingerie. According to her message, accompanied by her message, quote, "Go get woke, go broke," she shared a video of herself shooting a table full of these products overlaid on 2 barrels. The root of her anger, it seems, comes from Bud Light's ad campaign featuring transgender influencer Dylan Mulvaney, Honey Birdette, using Jake Dupree to advertise its lingerie, and Tampax utilizing so Bud Light, Dylan Mulvaney, Honey Birdette using Jake Dupree for Honey Birdette, the lingerie company, and Tampax using a male model to model its tampons. Issues which she believes are robbing women of opportunities. Oh, shut the fuck up. Oh, MAGA feminism, isn't that just a fucking Watch Mojo level anime crossover? Oh, jeez. Teresi is not the first celebrity to protest Mulvaney's features in advertisements. Kid Rock and Travis Tritt have displayed similar backlash against Bud Light. Right, I've covered that in case you don't remember. Responses to the issue have not just resulted in shootings. Oh wow, what a fucking loading statement here. You pieces of shit. Fucking journalists. Shootings, yes. Would you even call this a shooting? Just some fucking some twat wearing lingerie. Stars and Stripes lingerie, shooting a bunch of beer. Is that really a shooting? Get the fuck out of here. Whatever. Anyway. Arkansas Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders. Isn't that fucking Trump's press secretary? Who has launched, quote, real women of politics koozies as a symbolic protest. The recent bending of business and politics is creating awareness of brands among customers that they may see as performative or inauthentic, causing them to rethink their purchasing choices, hence the recent drop in sales for Anheuser-Busch. The Busch Bud Light mothership took a notable hit to its sales after when it recruited Mulvaney and to control the damage, placed 2 of its top executives on leave. Teresi may be a model and representative of the endeavors of capitalism, but she is not lost to the American status quo in its political arena. The influencer is outspoken about her views and asserts that she is conservative and rooting for Donald Trump via the Daily Mail. If it's not crystal clear to some of you guys, I am shooting at Honey Burdette lingerie, Tampax, tampons, and Bud Light. All the companies have gone woke. Tampax has used a biological male to promote their tampons, she wrote alongside her Instagram video. You have earned my cringe. Good job. I'm proud of you. I hope the clicks were worth it. I hope you got your point across. I don't know who's genuinely like excited or motivated or inspired by this. Is it just like, is this all you have to offer? Like not just this Miss Teresi, but just people with like okay, look, I'm not against gun culture, but it's like, I guess it's not just an American thing, but chiefly it's much more prevalent in the United States. These people are not particularly skilled or athletically talented or intellectually talented. Their shtick is about something that's completely external to them. It's not really no longer a display of merit or character or accomplishment. It's just about, okay, look at me, I got a gun. Okay, look at me, I'm cool because I have this gun. Okay, I'm glad you like a gun. I, for one, believe that I am against most regulations and gun laws. But is this really all you have to offer? Your fucking pickup truck and your gun? Like, come on. What values are you even conserving? Materialism for the most part. Like, I'd rather see someone do like, if you really hate Bud Light, why not do some like trick shots? Like, again, show off some fucking skill. But you just have them lined up and you're just like, oh, look at me, I can shoot a bunch of beer cans and a bunch of fucking products that I spent the money to buy even though I fucking hate them, trying to boycott them. It's not impressive. It doesn't impress me, okay? And this girl low-key looks like me, but with like blonde hair and boobs. It's like she's kind of... I don't know if you clearly none of you probably train as much as I do, but yeah, this is like this male cyclists look like this. Like is whatever. I don't know. That wasn't as entertaining as I thought it'd be. Yeah, I'm not against boycotts per se. It's just kind of a cringe. The companies don't really care. They're not going to be emotionally influenced by you pissing on their product. It hurts their sales, and of course, a business they respond to pain and pleasure, just like any other living organism. Pain being losing money, pleasure being anticipation of or actualized gains in revenue. They are not ideological. Their ideology is bullshit for the most part. Money talks, bullshit walks. Where does this money come from? ESG. I'll say it again. I said it again, and I will say it again until everyone fucking understands how much fucking money is coming through there. I don't remember the numbers that it came out with like the last couple weeks, or no, 2 weeks prior with the Kid Rock versus Mulvaney shit. But clearly, it's probably in the millions. And reactive, just probably out of panic. I remember seeing Bud Light has like, what do they do? Bud Light responds to boycott by redesigning product. I think they changed their design. I don't know. I thought I saw it somewhere. So, right. Oh, now I remember. So, like there was a shift in leadership of Anheuser-Busch, where obviously, like, the kinds of people who drink Bud Light aren't the woke bunch. The woke bunch, like they do like to do their fucking pub crawls while they're like fucking dad bod fucking overweight selves go to like the micro brews and all kinds of hipster bullshit, right? And again, I don't drink. I don't know shit about this. I'm literally talking out of my ass right now. So, like, I'm pretty sure Bud Light's like the redneck thing, and rednecks usually aren't woke. Um, it's fucking petty, but well, I'm not. I shouldn't complain because it gives me something to talk about on my shitty show. So, I don't know. Do whatever you want. I'm not gonna make an argument at this point. Like, fucking, I don't care. I don't drink. Why am I talking about this shit? My show sucks. Why the fuck are you watching? Oh shit. Sorry, my weeb music is coming through. Why the fuck you watching my show? This show's dog shit. Go click on something else. Anyway, fuck off. I'm done with the show. Thanks for watching. Anyway, I don't know why. Hit me with some topics. If not, I guess I'll just let the show dry up on its own. I've got other things I kind of want to do in life, but I don't know. We'll see. Thank you again. I'm getting lazy. Sorry, not sorry. Life goes on. Take care, and I guess I will probably maybe show up next week. I don't know. I got a lot of bike races, and it's season's starting to pick up. Yeah. Bye.